Like that's fine.
I would
This is
scatter
the
it.
data from the Algebra 1 mock. If y'all wanna open your emails and pull it up. If you're an Algebra 1 teacher, you also have a hard copy of all of the charts that I've got.
You got really good eyes. You guys are good eyes.
So I'm jumping over to the tab that says TRS percent students by performance. This is showing us how many of our students, thank you. This is showing us how many of our students were at our approaches, meets, masters, and then how many of them did not pass by sub-hop. So we're also looking at all of our students. We're looking at just our lab and our SPED students. So our goal was what? 90, 65, 35. Right now, our approaches for the whole campus is at 77.7%. Our meets is at 43.5%, and our masters is at 17.1%. So we still have some work to hit our goals, but those numbers are a nice improvement from the 9 weeks test from the second 9 weeks.
What was the number tested? What was the number tested?
We had, let's see. This first tab right here, this all students, shows the results for everybody. 170 total at the time that I had pulled this. Those students who tested with you guys doing makeups, they're probably not going to be included on this because I started pulling that data right away. So if you're missing anybody that wasn't there, they should be in Eduforia if you want to add them. So this is everybody that was there on Wednesday when we actually did the pullouts for the mock. So we did have 170 total. And that does include our big students, our AIM students, and then a couple of our retesters that aren't really retesters that are kind of first time that haven't done the 2019. We went ahead and put them in there as well so that we could get that data. So Ms. Prestridge, you're gonna have a couple in there too.
Got to. That's what you might want to look at if you're not a fresh teacher. Is your retesters.
Well, retesters aren't, for the most part, not gonna be in there.
I've got two.
But those were the, remember, we pulled those two specifically because they were either students who should have tested and didn't, like they never took the 2019.
Yes, they did. Well, they took
The spring,
spring one.
yeah, I didn't give it to anybody who had taken the spring 2019 test because that's basically what this test was the spring 2019
Amy
test.
took it this spring. She failed it.
She took it in last spring and failed? Oh, she should not have taken this test then. Because it only should have been students who did not take 2019 spring. You sure she wasn't December?
Yeah, I know she failed it. She failed it again.
Progress? Yeah, so there's our numbers down there for everybody. You can also come in and filter just like before. You can look at your sub-pop. So if you just want to look at LEP students, you can sort them out. So we have 46 LEP students. Ooh.
Trying to look at your students.
So 46 LEP students. Of our LEP students, we had 77.6 pass, so just about the same amount. We didn't see very much difference between our LEP population and our general 43.5 meet and 17.6 masters. That's pretty close, wasn't it? If we look at all of our students, the distribution of all of our students versus our lot, with the exception of masters. There we go. Wait a second. Is that not filtering out? Because it doesn't look like 77.65.
Is there any, like the Algebra 1 teachers, is there any way we can like tell them about TSI and how it affects TSI? Like if they get a 4,000 on the actual test, they don't have to take TSI for math.
Right.
But I don't think the kids know that. And we start telling them that if they get the 4,000, if they don't get the 4,000, they're gonna be tested again. Maybe they can push a little more.
So you're saying that maybe we should push for more students in that masters, or to help push students to achieve more than just passing, pitching it like,
Yeah.
Talent for it.
Just to tell
right, pitching it like you want to do better than just pass, because if you score high enough,
If you-
you're done with your math
TSI,
testing, right? But if not, then you're gonna have to take another test before you graduate. That's a good point. Did y'all hear what he was mentioning? Because I know that sometimes we struggle with that, getting our kids to go above just passing, because for our kids, it's like, okay, I have to pass this test to graduate. Well, I only have to get 39% to pass. I don't have to work that hard. But what he was saying is, if the student gets a 4,000 scale score or higher on their Algebra 1 test, then they've met that TSI requirement. So they won't have to take the TSI math class, they won't have to take the TSI math test, they've already satisfied that. So that might be something that we could encourage. What percent is it? It varies from year to year.
If they get a 4,000 higher, they don't have to take TSI.
But that's masters, that's the master's credit. Yes. Yeah, so if they get mastery, because the scale score is 4,000, it's usually about 76%, although I've seen it like 70%.
No, I think it's even
So
better
it does
than
vary, but if they get masters, then they are satisfying that.
Well, last year was 65%, guys. I'm looking at it right now. But like I said, that is,
No, not for masters,
oh no, for my own, sorry, that was,
because 4,000,
4,000.
we can look at your scores and just figure out who had a 4,000 exactly and figure out how many.
well, I can tell you that
69%.
4,000 is gonna be the scale score for masters always.
69%.
Now, sometimes
But that varies.
I think it's like just
what that percent is varies, but the scale score is always.
Always the same.
So I don't know if it's 4,000 exactly, if it's 4333. Oh, no, I'm off. Okay, wait, back up. So 4,000 is actually the scale score for meets, y'all.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Yeah, 4,000 is the scale score for meets. 4333 is masters.
Probably a good motivator to get them to me.
So if they meet, they've satisfied a TSI requirement.
and they also satisfy the college readiness requirements. They also satisfy like
So that's gonna be what lets those kids go into dual credit pre-cal. Because they won't have to worry about passing the TSI test because they'll have already met that requirement.
What if they don't want to go to pre-cal and they did score that, they got up to that criteria?
Then they go into
Can they still-
on-ramps. They have to go into on-ramps or,
Do they still have the option of going into the TSI class?
yeah.
No.
No.
it depends entirely on like where the kids are on their scale. So a lot of like what we're dealing with is we've got a lot of sophomores who are moving up to, who have taken Algebra 2 with Ms. Prestridge, and then they're moving up. Those kids, they have a choice: dual credit pre-cal, on-ramps pre-cal. That's basically their choice, with a very small minority that are possibly going to take the college math. But the problem is, if they take the college math as a junior, then it doesn't count for that requirement. So we actually want them to take it as a senior instead.
Next year, Mr. Weatherwax will have the algebraic reasoning as an option.
Oh,
That's why we're creating that class, because we do have a handful of students who maybe don't want to do pre-cal, but we don't want to put them in that TSI class, because in the event that if they're a sophomore going into their junior year, if they don't pass the TSI test their junior year, then we need that as an option to put them into that course their senior year so that they can be.
And
the
you
college
want to see
students.
curriculum for that class?
For which one, the college readiness or?
For the algebra?
There isn't one yet. Ms.
There's,
Bethany.
well, if, we have a little bit of flexibility there in how we want to approach it. I would imagine that for those students, our goal is gonna be prepping them for TSI to make sure that they're meeting that.
Or
The SAT
pre-cal.
too, right?
Or pre-cal,
Yeah.
but a lot of it's gonna be overlapping because we're gonna be building a lot of those algebra
And the
skills,
counting
especially
as
without the
well,
calculus.
Because you're gonna get a lot of
Mhm.
new tech
Yeah,
kids
we
that
counted
have to take pre-cal.
If and
There's
where we
senior.
go and exactly what that class is, we can still decide that.
Okay.
For algebraic reasoning, there are standards, there is a curriculum that's already created by the state that we can go with. There's been some other ideas that have been suggested on what that class could be too, but the big idea is that we can't put them in, as a junior, we don't wanna put them in TSI, we can, but we don't want to, because if they take that class, they don't pass the test, it won't matter if they pass the class or not. And then, what do we do with them as seniors? Then they still haven't passed TSI, so we're gonna push them into your on-ramps pre-cal class, maybe? But then they would graduate and they still wouldn't be college math ready, even though they had attempted a college math class, which is what we're trying to avoid. So, if we do algebraic reasoning, there's a lot of resources available. What were the other classes that we had suggested doing? We said algebraic reasoning.
Hadn't we talked about like
Stats,
algebra
but
3?
that's not-
They're doing a college algebra.
But that's a
That's
different
the
class too.
algebra.
Yeah.
That's gonna replace pre-AP
That's
algebra
the
two.
algebra two.
Oh, is it?
So we'll have our academic algebra 2, and instead of pre-AP algebra 2, we'll have the
On-ramps
on-ramps
college
college algebra. So, and then after that, those kids will decide, do they wanna do on-ramps pre-cal, dual credit pre-cal if they're TSI ready,
Or the algebraic.
or the algebraic reasoning class that
You
we're
know
gonna
the
be adding.
curriculum for algebra 2, the college algebra for UP, is pretty
No, if you don't wanna do it, just say it.
But I do think that it
It's a
aligns
big-
pretty well
it's a
with
huge commitment.
with most of what we're covering in algebra 2. It does go beyond what we would cover just in high school algebra 2, but I don't think that it's so far beyond that it's not doable. But I'll get with you and we can look over, I'll print out some things for the algebraic reasoning and what that looks like, and we can go from there. Okay. Back to our data. Average score, this is our average score as campus and by teacher.
What is
So
that, 55?
that's the average score
Oh, yeah.
for our students. So our average as a campus was 55.9, our LAP was 47.9, and then our spread was 41.7. And then we have it also broken down by teacher.
Gotta do my average score tweet.
Well, I put these at the end because these are our kind of special groups, right? Like each of you have special things happening in your class that explains why you're different from everybody else. Because Miss Lydia's got our AIM kids, and then we've got our
Retesters.
Darling retesters. And then Mr. Cardiel has our VAP, so those are gonna be higher. Okay, so then, this is what we're gonna be using for our planning, right, our standards, and there's actually some pages, because there were a lot of standards. But this way you guys can start identifying what your 3 low and your 3 high performing standards are, and comparing those to each other, and maybe planning together and building off of each other's strengths, so we can crack that a little bit, and I'll dig into those standards a little bit more with you guys, and identify where our big areas for growth are. And that's our second page of it. And I did the same thing with our LEP and our STEM, so we can look at those sub-tops and identify any issues that may be going on there. And last is our reporting categories. Again, if you teach Algebra 1, you have, copies of all of this that you can mark up in your folders, so you can pull those out and start digging in. But I did wanna go ahead and share with everybody where we're at right now, because most of you are gonna be also helping us plan for our symposium and stuff too, so you know where we are. Do you have any questions for me? And thank you guys for, all of your help with the mock. It went really, really smooth because of everything you guys did to help me get ready, so I really appreciate that.
My suggestion, if you have any input on the next test, is that when you do a schedule, right where it says lunch, that you put in bold letters, you put a time on it. Put a, when the bell rings or the announcement. Cause you put a time and teachers just let them go.
I agree. And I know that a lot of you text me and ask me, and I was like, just hang in there, they're gonna say something
I hear the
eventually.
portables are let out.
Well, and a lot of people, there were a lot of people that
And
went
the
up.
building did too.
Yeah.